I would like to welcome everybody to the Tuesday, June 27th meeting of the Engineering Committee, CCWD. Would you all please rise and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I know I must be the only person in this room that was in grade school when that under God part was, one nation under God was added to the pledge.
Bring it back.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Okay, we have a roll call required.
Director Thomas,
I'm here.
Director Cicada.
I'm here.
Okay, and Director Davidson apparently is elsewhere. Okay, have anybody here for public comment? Don't see anyone. Approval of the minutes, I would suggest that we put that off to the next meeting because Cindy.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. All right, going on to new business. Okay, first thing under new business, we have a capital improvement project update. Who's going to do that? Welcome, Kevin.
Okay, so I'll go through some of these projects here. The district courtyard. So Plummerville completed the interior improvements of the courtyard, and so we're just waiting on the standby generator, which we just found out today it shipped today. So that's good news. So we'll get that wired as soon as it gets here.
Let me ask you one question. As I recall, Plummerville was just they were gonna frame and prepare the interior improvements, preparing them for our painting crew. Is that the way it?
Yeah, we painted the inside of most of the rooms. So there's a few areas that still need to be painted, and then we put flooring downstairs. So that's
Okay.
done. And then we still have some flooring upstairs and other stuff that we'll do as time permits is a plan.
Okay, so is the warehouse functioning as anticipated yet? Or?
Yes, yeah, our purchasing and our new facilities maintenance person is over there, and they're moved in, the mechanics are moved in, so everybody's pretty well moved in. Some other crews that will probably eventually be moving over there.
If time allows after this meeting, can we go take a quick peek?
Yeah,
I've
no
never
problem.
seen the inside of it yet. So
Yeah, it came out really nice.
yeah. And if we have time, seeing where we're at after this. Have you seen?
It was occasionally, you mentioned the facilities maintenance person. I read that we had hired somebody, but I don't know anything.
Yeah,
about
he's
that.
over. I believe his name's Eric. He's he's over there. He's moved in. He's seems to be starting off quickly. So
Okay,
we
well,
got a whole long list of stuff for him to do.
Is he maintaining that in this building?
I believe so. Yeah, he's kind of what George used to do.
he'll be.
Oh, gotcha,
He'll
yeah.
be floating around.
Cool.
I haven't had a chance to mention to you, Kevin, that I noticed that the woodpecker holes and stuff and that has been repaired out here on the front of the building. So
Yeah, Pat was able to. His guys, I don't know if it's Pat or one of his guys. They were able to get the trim back
okay, well,
attached. So
I think that happened because I talked to you about it and you.
yeah, we
you
filled out
got the
work order
passing.
and they took care of it. So
Good, appreciate it.
Work
Okay.
orders, work magic.
Yeah.
I like that.
Nice.
I have, well, talking about woodpeckers and one of my trees at home, I have baby woodpeckers in there. They put a hole in my cherry tree. And from my front door, I can hear those little things they're so noisy, but we let them stay.
That's not on the agenda.
I know, but I still, because they're talking about woodpecker holes. But you know, they do make nests with them and
Yeah.
have babies.
yeah, there's some birds that found their way in there. So we're gonna try to figure out how to get those out of there.
Well, wait till the end when the baby birdies fly away, then fill it up.
Okay, that's good news. Continue, please.
The next project is AMR, which is it's just an AMI project now because the AMR part it's all network. But anyway, they're substantially complete. Mueller, so they had crew out the last couple of weeks, work on the punch list, and And then we have our customer service department's going through and making sure all the data is coming across like we want it to, and we're getting really close on that. And then we've been working with mobile MMS, and they're working on pulling the data from the Mueller system over to MMS so they can compare the information from our water treatment plants to determine water loss in the area. So there's a lot of cool stuff we can do with this system. And then we're also working on setting the parameters for leak detection, and we're looking on trying to eliminate all the old data that's stored in the system, because Tyler will pull that in as historical data. So we're trying to figure out how to get our system, the Mueller system, all the data scrubbed so it's all clean for the pulling the information to Tyler.
So since you brought up Tyler, this Mueller system, that was all created new from the beginning. So why is there old information that you want to pull before Tyler gets it?
So sometimes there's like when they installed the meters, we have like 4 different types of meters. They all have different multipliers and that type of stuff. So when sometimes they install the meters, and a lot of them, because we switched from the solid states, which had some special microchips in them that couldn't get during COVID. So we switched to the manual dial reads, which transmit the same data and they function with all the same features. They just have manual data instead of a digital display, because we couldn't get the digital display, but they have different multipliers. So they started installing those. They had the wrong multipliers. So the initial reads that we got in the system were really big, but that old data is still in there. So they're cleaning all that up. It's just a function of their NOC. They have this NOC analyst that will be with us forever. That's our guy that we call if there's problems with anything. He'll call us to say a collector's got problems, or a repeater, or there's issues with the network, something's not coming through. It's part of the service that we get from Mueller from now on, that this guy will be doing that. So he's the one working on that.
These kinds of changes that you're just talking about, does that interfere with Tyler being able to integrate?
No, they can do Tyler right now. I mean, this is all stuff that's pretty well taken care of already. So I mean, there's nothing that and that when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about like 100 meters out of like 13,000 meters. So it's a really small percentage.
Yeah, I guess where I'm going with this, I'm wondering, we're having problems with Tyler and getting our Tyler working right.
Yeah.
So are we making changes that we could otherwise just hang on, not do right away until Tyler is working really good and then you do the updates? Or are we doing too many different changes and that's hindering Tyler doing what they need to do?
Well, I mean, it was a mistake to try to implement Tyler at the same time as the AMI project.
Correct,
I mean, shouldn't. But unfortunately, the system we had at Springbrook is not sophisticated enough to really work with the AMI system. So I mean, there's Tyler is what a lot of the utilities use, but not having all our data in Tyler to start with, and then it made it so you couldn't just incrementally switch meters over through the system. You had to like wait till Tyler was ready and then bring everything in.
And that's what you guys did. You kind of waited for Tyler. And
yeah,
now
we waited for
started
Tyler, and then we had to bring a bunch of stuff in. So if you were doing it slowly, it would have been more efficient as you switch over. But
okay,
it is what it is now. But as far as the Mueller stuff, we're all good. I mean, everything's been pretty well scrubbed. I mean, Kelly's got a very short list of stuff that needs to be corrected still. So we're moving definitely in the right direction.
There was some mention at the last board meeting that as a result of some of the people like us that have bailed from Springbrook and gone to Tyler, that Springbrook upped their game. So you just said that their system isn't sophisticated enough for the MMI. Yeah. Have they gotten up to speed?
I don't know enough about the new Springbrook. I was kind of talking about our existing Springbrook system, so I don't know. That's not really my expertise. But
okay, there may be signs still up in other places, but I've asked before when it's going to happen that the announcement of the Mueller installation system is still on the side of the road down in Copperopolis as you enter town.
Yeah, that's on the punch list to do before final completion. So right now they have substantial completion. Final completion is going to be here in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Those will come down. The funding, you have to keep it up through the end of the project, so
Oh,
we don't really have it. Those signs are not dictated by the district. That's a USDA requirement to have them up. So
okay.
through the
So-
project.
Did I hear you say that you're about 2 weeks out to final completion with it?
I think we're meeting with all departments on the 11th, and that's when we're gonna we should be getting the final estimate from Mueller this week or the beginning of next week. That'll have all the costs that we got from Mueller because they had some time and materials to replace boxes and different things and repair plumbing and that type of stuff. So we'll get that final cost, and then we're gonna sit down, I think on the 11th with all the departments to make sure operations, accounting, and customer service and everybody are happy with the product we got. And we're still under warranty for a year. So if we find stuff that's messed up, we're gonna make a list of that and call them back. So I mean, there's
So a year from final completion?
year from substantial completion, which is about a month ago. So they have,
Okay.
it's like 11 months from now, we got a calendar invite set up so we all know that when that time comes around. So we'll have a meeting, and if there's stuff that's found, they're required to fix it.
Very good.
Okay, what about Jenny Lind?
Jenny Lynn needed to be, Sam, I think was gonna present on this one because we got some upcoming potholing and stuff to do.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Yeah, Jenny Lind A2B, we're working on the transmission. We have 90% of the design completed, but we are waiting on potholing to be done along the alignment. And in order to get the potholing moving forward, we are presenting we have to bid out a proposal set for the pothole plan that was created by our engineer, Coleman Engineering, and it will be presented to the full board tomorrow. But we wanted to give you guys a full, just a quick update. We're asking for 40 potholes along the alignment. What this will do is pick up a few of the sites that are where the new tie-in, where the tie-ins will be for the new transmission main to the existing system. That will give us an idea if there is any existing utilities or any conflicts that we can avoid during the design phase rather than in the construction. And at the end of the alignment from Usher Drive to the B-Tank site, we have some data missing that would show us where the alignment of the existing pipeline is. So when the contractor goes in and has to work in the tight constraints of the easement on that stretch, they know exactly where to go rather than working around the existing system. So in order to manage that, we had to issue a request for proposals, and the proposals came back, and the bidder is Mazingo. So they bid it at $115,000 for the 40 potholes. So we should be able to get that done and get this design process to 100%. And that's the only missing component right now.
When they're doing the potholing, is that almost like a little surveying kind of thing? Okay.
So yeah, so in this one, we are actually doing the potholes, and we're going to be collecting data as to where the utilities are, how deep they
How
are.
deep
They're
and
gonna be-
whatnot. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So with 40 holes on a 20,000-foot transmission pipeline project, that's a hole every 500 feet or so. That's about the same frequency as you would expect to see hydrants.
Yes, sir. So in this case, it's most of the intersections and some of the conflicts that we're seeing at the existing tank sites where there is multiple water lines or the transmissions that have been there from the previous tank sites. There's a little bit of conflict that we are seeing. So in order to remedy that, at a tank site alone, we have about 8 potholes. So that would help us with the new pressure regulating station and tying locations.
Okay, I apologize for picking the fly specks out of the pepper here, but
No, you're
if you're going to spend close to $3,000 a hole, 28 $28.75 per hole.
Yep.
Is there any thought about plating those so that the facilities stay visible for future, access?
That wasn't considered in this proposal. I'm not sure if the county will allow us to do that because it would be along the county right away.
Usually when you pothole these, they backfill with sand,
Oh.
you get a pothole there,
Yeah.
and they label it on the ground right there with the number. So when the crews come back through, they'll see the pothole and the number there. So when they come to find it, they'll know exactly the utility is already done.
How long does something like that last before you can't find it anymore?
Oh, it's surveyed, so they have location
Plan.
Okay.
Data will,
Oh, on the plans, there you go.
and they have pictures, photographs.
It's more for our knowledge of the design.
Okay, but this design, and I mentioned the fire hydrants, the new pipeline will be required to have new saddle clamps or something to go over to the fire hydrants.
We actually did, me and Sam, when we did the plan review on this, they had blow-offs initially, and we changed those to fire hydrants just because it's more maintenanceable for our crews, and it's easier for us to have access for flushing purposes and fire protection for the community.
That's
Cool.
a very logical thing. Thanks for doing that. Okay, go ahead, Sam.
and I mean, that was all I had on the A to B. Yeah, it's going to be on the board agenda
Mhm.
tomorrow for the full board
Okay.
I think it's considered.
Did the proposal, was it Mazingo you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Did that come in under what you projected the budget to be?
It was right where we were expecting it to be.
Okay.
Next one is the West Point Water Reliability Project. It's been moving forward. KW has been doing good. We received the filtration unit this week. They've been working on the pipeline, different piping joints that we had to get the filtration unit attached to the existing piping and that we've done in the past. We also have West Tech visiting. They're going through the whole filtration units piping to make sure everything is per spec that they had mentioned in their instructions manual. So
Do you know offhand how many customers are served under this project?
the whole West Point,
Okay.
it's just a redundancy filter for the existing water filtration system that we have over there in place.
Emerson is doing a lot of work for us.
Yes, sir.
Years ago, I recall that they were one of the businesses around here that were minority owned.
Oh,
The lady owner, well, female owner, is that still
Emerson?
the case? Yeah, so
Yes.
Nothing.
they can, they do good work, but they can also be a little higher than the low bidder and still get the job, so.
Well, in this case, I think they have been the lowest bidders.
Good.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
They're a good company. We
Mhm.
like them. Same with Mazingo too.
Okay,
Next one is the West Point and Wilseyville Consolidation Project.
West Point, Wilseyville. Right now, crews, on this project, we're dealing with supply chain issues. We're waiting on valves for process piping. They're installing piping that they can right now. We've been installing, we've got 2 septic tanks installed, been doing mass grading, and working on pipelines that don't have any valving on them at this time, but we're trying to move forward with what we can. So we're waiting on that. Emerson is also on that project. So that's kind of where we're at. Copper Cove lifts. Is there any questions?
I'm wondering, you mentioned septic tanks on this wastewater consolidation project. There is a water treatment plant there, isn't there? I mean,
There's a
so-
wastewater treatment plant,
Okay,
yes.
So the septic tanks are intermediate step system? or
Yes.
something? Okay,
It's they're what, 15,000 gallon? Tanks that are running side by side and they take the solids off the sludge. And then it goes into the drying beds.
Hmm.
30,000
gallons, that's deep enough to do a deep dive.
Yes, it is. A lot of poop. Anything else on that one?
Nope.
Copper Cove lift stations, we were out there last week with George Reed. We finished all the finished paving on the force mains. Everything has been tested and is now sitting idle waiting for the new pump stations. So we've got that all finished paved and got out of there for the summer out of Poker Flats Way and Lake Tulloch, which the HOAs are pretty happy about that. Everything went very well. We received the wet wells today from Amrock and all the vaults from Old Castle. They were delivered to our wastewater plant. We are starting to put all the parts and pieces together for that project, and then Mazingo will be back on site to work on each lift station one at a time and just move through them. So we're hopefully moving forward with that.
I saw those tanks, the concrete tanks being delivered this morning as I was headed out to my project, but two big tanks on a
Yeah, they're big.
45-foot trailer. I wonder, it didn't look like a typical septic tank, but I thought that was,
No, they're not concrete.
they're not.
Nope.
Were they round?
No, they're rectangular or it's like a shoebox.
Oh, the nose ones would have been concrete,
Yeah.
but the wet wells themselves, they're not concrete.
Right. Oh, the paving that you were talking about, I was there, John, when we went to that Republican Women's thing, I noticed that the trenches, there's temporary paving had been, or asphalt had been put over the trenches. So all you did was pave at the trenches? You didn't overlay the whole road, did you?
We did not. We did a T section. We did a standard T section, 1 foot on each side of the trench.
Okay.
So like going up Connor Estates Drive, I was almost 5 feet wide. We ground it down 2 inches. The plug paving that Mazingo did, we left it down 1 inch.
Mm-hmm.
So that way we didn't grind out so much of the new asphalt that the district has bought. So we only ground down 3/4 of an inch of the plug paving to give us our leveling course. And then we placed 2 inches of new asphalt on that with the T section.
Okay, with cutting a foot beyond, that cutting must have taken place right immediately before your paving, because
Yes.
it wasn't cut.
The grinder went right in front of us.
Okay. It's
Did
smart.
staff do the paving with our new machine or is that?
No.
No.
This is all part of Mazingo's contract.
Okay, good.
Okay, thank you.
The ones that Charles this week and next week. So Copper Cove wastewater treatment plant, tertiary treatment improvements, and the next one, which is the Copper Cove wastewater treatment plant pond 6 dam and effluent storage reservoir enlargement. Those 2 projects we're still waiting for the Army Corps of Engineers to approve the project. So right now we're kind of on a holding pattern. We're unable to spend any local funding until the PA, the project authorization and the environmental docs are completed. We're looking at completion maybe in September, we're hoping. So we're still meeting regularly with the Army Corps of Engineers, getting updates with them. They've taken it all to headquarters, wherever headquarters is, probably DC, and we're hoping to hear back by September. So right now we've got our consultants on hold, just waiting for authorization to proceed.
I took a field trip with Charles and the property owner out there to look at the proposed site for the borrow
Oh,
material.
yeah, right, neighboring property borrow sites.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it should be a fairly short haul.
short haul, but substantial amount.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would take me several days with my little trucks.
Copper Cove Water System Improvement Projects, again, this is Charles' project. There's a lot of need down there for water transmission, improvement to the transmission system. And so we're kind of taking a look at that also. We have developers that are keen on getting things moving. So Charles has engaged PBI to kind of help us through redefining what the hydraulic constrictions are and seeing what the needs will be here forward with the new projects that are being proposed by developers in the area.
This project's got a bid right now. I'll be bidding here in the month, or in the next month.
When you said that the developers are gonna make a proposal of their needs.
Well, they're
is that
proposing
what
several other projects in the area. And so we're trying to keep it one step ahead of them, basically. Because right now the system is at capacity,
Okay.
or very near capacity, I should say. This is my
You
understanding.
need to hear from them to know what you're gonna do to.
Well, it's
upgrade
a
or whatever.
combination of working together, knowing what their demands are gonna be, and then,
Okay.
following through with, what we believe will be the needs.
Cool.
So the 16 or 20-inch transmission pipeline, this is in the Copper Cove area. Can you draw a picture, mental picture for me about where the pipeline is starting and where it's ending up?
I'm not that familiar with the area at this point.
This is the one that goes from the Redwood tank to Clearwell. So if you got, the project that out for bid right now is replacing the Redwood tank that I think.
I can think about.
Yeah, so that one's, and
Good.
then the new Clearwell at the water treatment plant, so this the pipeline.
For that area?
Those two. Right,
Okay, so this doesn't have anything to do with new pipelines down toward the,
Not yet, not at this point.
okay, all right, thanks.
That'll be, the next phase. And that's to where we're trying to get a step ahead.
Okay.
Ebbets Pass, Kevin, you want to talk to that?
Carl,
yeah, this is the, Evans Pass,
you have good dinners.
raw water intake project. That one's the one that's been in the phase 1 review for almost 18 months now. So that's to replace our pump station there at Hunters that we use when the tunnel's not up and running. So that's the 75% funded by FEMA. So we're filing the CEQA, I think this week, and then we expect to have word back from FEMA in October. It's taking so long because they're engaging FERC and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, even though we're not in those jurisdictions. So because our original plan was to build it within the waterways, so they got to get agreement that's no longer in the waterways, basically. So it's kind of held up by FEMA. The next one, or did you have any questions on that?
When you're saying it's being held up from FEMA, is this still, I mean, is this something that we started and now we're on hold, or is it more of a design or?
So we designed it and we completed the 90% design, and now it's under NEPA review.
Okay, so
so-
the physical part hasn't been started. You're just,
Yeah, the physical, just the
construction
design.
portion, I guess.
Yeah, the design's been done, so we're just waiting on the 100% design in case there's any feedback from the permitting agencies, so.
Very cool.
And then the next one is the Evans Pass Redwood tank hardening. So this one, we've finished all the tanks except for Larkspur tank, which we're working on right now. They got the floor on and they're working on the dome. They're missing a couple pieces, so they had to wait for a couple days. But we're gonna get back on it this week. And then after that's done, we'll be done with this project. So that one, we ran into a little bit of ground condition issues there. We took down the existing tank. The ground underneath that tank was very, very soft. So we had to do a solid concrete mat foundation there. So there was some change order work to do that, but it was necessary.
And the redwood was taken down and disposed of by the installer or the contractor?
Yeah, Larkspur was a metal tank, so that's actually not part of the FEMA. That's a separate project that was incorporated into this same project. But yeah, the rest of the tanks were redwood. In that, the credit was given to the project by the contractor, so that contractor took the wood, KW Emerson.
Now, if we'd have brought the redwood here and sold it on Craigslist, we could have funded some of these capital improvement projects. So.
Yeah, I think we got a reduced price on we did get a reduced price. He gave us an estimate of what the credit was on each of the tanks, so it was incorporated into it. And being that it's FEMA funded, you can't intermix you can't sell it, and then you'd have to give back to the grant. So it's not really.
Get a credit.
Yeah.
10 cents on the dollar.
Yeah. So we try to do the most economical thing by.
Okay.
The next one is Forest Meadows UV system. So Cole Distornia Construction's working on that. They poured the bottom of the channel last week. We were out there this morning, and they got their form of the walls of the channel, and they'll pour on Friday there, and then you can put the lamps in here in the next couple of weeks, and he's pretty well done with the channel. And then our crews, our electrical staff will be doing all electrical work, connecting the new electrical panel and the new, we also have to replace the batteries in the backup battery system there, because that is required for the UV system.
Okay.
So Arnold wastewater, that. Want to take that? Or? Okay, so this is a Arnold wastewater secondary clarifier improvement project. This one's kind of on hold for funding. We're trying to go after funding for the State Water Resource Board. And so this one's ready for bid. So as soon as we decide what we want to do as far as the funding situation, we can put it out to bid.
Okay, Kevin, going back to the dams or pond 6.
Yes.
What does it say about design? That
Wagner's got the design done, I believe, on that for the most part. Or that was just being taken over by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So they would be, I think the new agreement is that they would be taking over the construction of that entire pond. So the design that we have could be utilized by them, but I mean, they can do what they want once it comes to that point.
okay, do I remember correctly that the money that we spend on that design, we will not be reimbursed for?
I don't know. I think we're still trying to get reimbursed for it, but I don't know the status that. I haven't been to any of those meetings, but as far as I know, there's a potential that we could not be reimbursed for it. I think it had to do with the rule change in the federal government. So what we were told at first is different than what we're being told now.
What's 400,000 among friends? Okay, well, thank you for those reports. Need to stay with the agenda here.
So can I say something to you real quick?
Sure.
And because I don't really attend these meetings, these are all projects underway. They currently have a budget, or you're looking for funding. Are these all going to be somehow impacted by the budget we're looking at tomorrow? They're part of the budget. And I guess why I'm saying this, because we have like a large CIP wish list, right? So
I think
For the
all
new
these are
budget?
already in the, I mean,
they're in the
We got
current
Copper
budget,
Cove there.
obviously, and they're gonna be. I guess what I'm trying to say is because of this new budget and the rate study and everything, we have these large CIP projects. And I'm assuming that the CIP projects for this rate study are all ones that are very important. And I would imagine since these are started, they should be part of that important must-do list, right?
Yeah, the Copper Cove tank projects, the Redwood tank and the Clearwell, those are out to bid on the street. So I mean, we'll get the bids back here at the end of July. So I guess that funding, I mean, we anticipate having funding for it. And the rest of them are all underway. And then the Arnold clarifier project was a really important project. That one obviously is on the table too. The design's 100%. So ideally, that if you do have money coming up, that would be one you'd want to, that one in. But there's also opportunities for, I think we're looking at disadvantaged communities
DACs,
that are in that area. So
I guess if, because we're looking at this rate study, we have this huge CIP that we want to somehow complete. And I would assume, well, if you're saying some are design ready, it doesn't mean they're necessarily a high priority, but they are ready to go. They're not, it's just something maybe on the shelf until you find funding. I guess I'm looking for, in case we don't do this rate increase, how are these projects affected perhaps?
Well, we've kind of looked at some of the possibility of that happening.
Mhm.
And so we're looking at more of at this point of a cash flow, what projects can we initiate knowing that the funding's there, which projects we're going to have to be delayed for months or 2 months or 3 months or whatever it takes in order for the rates to possibly cover those costs. So we are trying to prioritize things and to meet the cash flow
Yeah,
requirements.
and so let's say that we don't do a rate increase, just in case.
Okay.
And so with that being said, does it go back to the priority of, one of my priorities is that Redwood tank that I see leaking, right? So that's got to come to the forefront to get
Yeah.
financed, whether it's through us in some of our funds set aside. I'm just kind of wondering, I'm sure you guys are thinking about it
Mhm.
and,
Yeah, we're constantly prioritizing and it's all depending on.
so if we don't get that rate increase, what has to be pulled out first,
Indeed.
Indeed.
And it's in consultation with the full board, so, it won't happen in a vacuum. But we've been
Okay.
talking already with the general manager about this possibilities.
It'll extend past the CIP.
Say that again, what'll extend past the CIP program?
Without the rate increase, we have to consider cuts into the operating. budget.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mhm.
And, sometimes that happens. So as long as you guys are looking at that, I just would think that all the money we spent on these, hopefully they're a higher priority because of like the tanks that are leaking and stuff like that. So if some have to be, just because they're ready to go, I hope they are ready to go because there was a higher need than perhaps some of the others.
yeah, I mean, we're at the point where some of the stuff's gonna be catastrophic if you don't take care of it soon. I mean, just look at Sawmill Tank. I mean, that's been.
Can you guys put a list together that says catastrophic?
Yeah,
But
there's like, I mean, then you're gonna lose capacity in some areas. I mean, Valley
You
Springs.
don't want to get to the point of catastrophic because then the cost of project delivery
Right.
triples.
But you're telling me it's like we have this many projects. If they are prioritized on, catastrophic, we have to do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And then, this one, we have, if we're really lucky, we could go 2 years. And the reason why I say that is because, one, I don't think we should count the chickens before they're hatched, in this case, a rate study. And I know with my budget at home, I need a new roof, right? So
Understood.
how do I go to get that? And somehow you got to say what's more important, right?
Right.
And
Well, I assume that, all your ongoing CIP, your next 5-year CIP list has been prioritized because of that. It's not only, we don't want things to fail, but it also becomes a health and safety issue as well, because we don't want our constituents to run out of water or not have service because of, capacity or redundancy issues. So, it's all been thought through and I believe you have the highest priority that's being worked on right now.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, we have other information here about Copper Valley Town Square, Gold Creek, Jenny Lind Elementary.
Yeah, a lot of these projects are Charles's projects, and unfortunately, he can't. I'll have to speak for these projects, but we are working through a lot of the issues down in Copper because of the constraints we have with the water system and the wastewater system. Copper Valley Town Square, of course, CV Development is eager to continue to develop the area. We're having issues right now just at capacity. We're at capacity, and to fulfill the needs of future development, we're going to have to rethink how we're going to approach this. So that's what I mentioned earlier. We're working through to figure out how we can improve the system down there, because some of our water delivery capacity, like I said, is just at its limit right now. Gold Creek, I understand that the developer needs to, this is Unit 3, and I believe Unit 1 and 2, there's still some outstanding issues, capital issues with that. He owes the district some money. And so that one is we're waiting to see what's the next step that the developer wants to do. I can't get into much details. That would be a conversation with Michael. Jenny Lynn and Elementary, they've continued to design. They've submitted 90% design. We've been reviewing it, and we're just waiting to finalize the design before they take it to the. This is a state-funded project, so they'll have to take the final design to the state for approval before funding starts. So that one's probably going to be a few more months before we actually get it under construction. And it's the school district's project. It's not really our project until it's been constructed and we accept it.
Gotcha.
Mark, I've been beating the drum on that particular project for several years now, that there are there's quite a bit of acreage that is in close proximity to that sewer line that it could be easily developed if it had access to the sewer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's kind of might present some challenges to at this point to not change the design, but make sure that there's enough capacity in that line that you could serve the houses on a 20-acre parcel. And with
Right.
It's
Not knowing the specifics on this, I know that when you go for a state grant, they limit the scope of the work. They're not looking for serving additional needs. They're looking for serving what you specified. And in this case, it'd be the elementary school. So in terms of additional capacity, we can probably accommodate like another, expansion area, let's say, so that we can include other, the pipeline can serve more than what the school is going to put in it. So there's probably some potential there, but other than for the mechanical systems, you just don't want to necessarily include in the project at this point.
okay. Well, that's why it pleases me to get the answer that you're giving me, because I didn't want to jeopardize.
Yeah, it's state funding. It's a little tricky that way,
Yeah.
because it is going to be a grant funded. I think it's going to be even for forgivable loans. So the state board's, providing those funds to the school district. And once the school district has completed a project, it will be, accepted by us, and that asset then becomes ours. At that point, we could start thinking about expanding the system to include other potential.
It's kind of a shame that the state can't kind of open their eyes a little bit. If we had somebody that wanted to develop that area to kind of partner,
Well, yeah,
you know what I mean, to be able to, let's get this, since things are being dug, let's
Correct.
get more there, or at least stub out something.
so,
you know.
so the next one, the North Vista Plaza LGI Homes, that's one project that is growth. It's going to be part of the same system that Jenny Lynn is feeding into. So, they've got their homes all laid out, I should say lots all laid out. And they've been meeting with us because we're looking at possible solutions, because right now we have a constriction in our sewer system in a very difficult area to upsize our sewer. So we're looking at alternatives to that. And so we're meeting with LGI Homes because we don't want to hinder their schedule, because they are eager to kick off their projects. And so this is one of these things where we're starting to think about putting in a regional system to not only take the Jenny Lynn sewage that's at the top of the hill now, rather than put it into the gravity system that's over capacity, is maybe reconfigure system so that we take this new development, Jenny Lynn school sewage, and then use a force main to get it over to a better location.
Are either of these areas considered a DAC?
I really don't know. I'm not that familiar with it.
Because if they are, then you have
Yeah.
way more opportunities for funding then.
No. No, and so LGI Home is working with us, they're cooperating with us, and there's right now we do have a development agreement with them. We may have to modify that a little bit at this point. We don't know. We have to look at the details of the solution to, to better serve the community.
I think they do, LGI does have some high density housing here. I think some of that is funded by some government funds.
Yes.
For high density housing, so I think they're getting some money that'll come our way from that.
Right. Well, they're looking for housing, right? So. Thank you. Any
Okay,
others?
Any other questions, Director Thomas, Director Scott? No?
Not any questions, but just an observation that there are people in this room that probably have heard me ask questions about that Jenny Lind pipeline for a couple of years now. And thank you for being clear and concise on the answer to my question. So
It's kind of nice to have that, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, I was led to believe that it'd be a piece of cake. Just look it up.
Yeah, I know. We're in California. Where
Well,
you been?
Yeah, but I'm from the school of thought or philosophy that we're here to sell water and sell sewer services and stuff. And if you see a prime opportunity that, oh man, we're putting a pipeline right through here, we should. What is motivating my thinking is when I was on the board of supervisors, the developer wanted to develop this 20-acre parcel, and he was told, no, you can't do that if you want to do it on septic. So he packed up his bag and left. So
Yeah, no, understood. I am looking at opportunities, not only for, the larger developments, but also for individual homeowners that may have the opportunity, and I'm saying may have the opportunity to connect to that pipeline, but it's not going to be by gravity, so.
Yeah.
And Sam has taken a look at that already, kind of highlighted some of the parcels that would be feasible for, connecting to sewage to existing homes.
okay, yeah, there's wetland sensitivity there that you couldn't put it.
Oh, indeed, and that's why we're looking at an alternative.
Okay, well, how about oh, no, general manager, can we
Is
get
that
him
gonna
on?
be Stacy, because she's the intern, right?
Yeah,
Hey, Stacy, you have anything to say?
come on in, Stacy.
I have nothing to report.
Oh, come on, Stacy. I was hoping to hear something.
No,
Are you
sorry.
enjoying your temporary role?
I already went in to look at her stripes on her sleeves.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, how about director comments? Director Cicada, if you tire.
I'm glad I could be here. I really, I call in most of the time, and it's really nice to hear about the projects. It's helpful for me. So thank you.
Okay, and I'm glad that you were available and close by.
Yeah.
And gosh, we have to wait till September to do this again?
Yeah, there you go. Huh?
Okay, well, I guess that if that's all there is, thanks to all of you for your hard work, and
Yeah, thank you for waiting for me.
are we gonna take a tour?
Oh, this is good. I would love to. I'll leave that right there.
We're adjourned.
Adjourned we are, but we'll take a quick little run through and